major cities across the nation. Here in Indiana, a protester lost an eye from a tear gas container hitting him in the face. In North Carolina, protesters were trapped by a cloud of tear gas on both ends of a street. In Kentucky, an officer attacked a newscaster and camera crew with pepper bullets. And here in Detroit, police backed by armored vehicles marched down the streets. To date, the U.S. has spent over $15 billion on the militarization of police. All of these weapons, vehicles, and equipment are acquired by the police through a military program called 1033. It's like eBay for cops with leftover war equipment, except everything is free and you only pay for shipping and handling. Up until 2017, police couldn't be in the program unless they used equipment within a year of receiving it. So how did local police acquire all of these military weapons? And why do they even need them? To answer this question, we're going to examine 4 moments in history.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
In the wake of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, President Lyndon B. Johnson and Congress armor, face shields, and special weapons like M79 grenade launchers. Prior to 1968, SWAT teams were used sparingly, only in volatile, high.
How America's state police got military weapons. Japan has almost completely eliminated gun deaths. Here's how. Chris Weller, Aaron Snodgrass. Wednesday, July 6, 2022 at 4:09 a.m. Japan gun shotgun. AP. Japan is a country of more than 127 million people, but it rarely sees more than 10 gun deaths a year. Culture is one reason for the low rate, but gun control is a major one, too. Japan has a long list of tests that applicants must pass before gaining access to a small pool of guns. A recent spate of mass shootings have prompted intensified discussions around gun control in the U.S. 7 people were killed and dozens more injured in a Monday mass shooting at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois. The attack comes on the heels of several other mass shootings in recent weeks, including in Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas. One of the biggest questions being asked, how does the U.S. prevent this from happening over and over again? Although the U.S. has no exact counterpart elsewhere in the world, some countries have taken steps that can provide a window into what successful gun control looks like. Japan, a country of 127 million people and yearly gun deaths rarely totaling more than 10, is one such country. Ever since guns entered the country, Japan has always had strict gun laws. Ian Overton, Executive Director of Action on Armed Violence, a British advocacy group, told the BBC. They are the first nation to impose gun laws in the whole world, and I think it laid down a bedrock saying that guns really don't play a part in civilian society. Japan is a country with regulations upon regulations. Japan's success in curbing gun deaths is intimately linked with its history. Following World War II, pacifism emerged as one of the dominant philosophies in the country. Police only started carrying firearms after American troops made them, in 1946, for the sake of security. It's also written into Japanese law, as of 1958, that no person shall possess a firearm or firearms or a sword or swords. Government has since loosened the law, but the fact Japan enacted gun control from the stance of prohibition is important. It's also one of the main factors separating Japan from the US, where the Second Amendment broadly permits people to own guns. If Japanese people want to own a gun, they must attend an all-day class, pass a written test, and achieve at least 95% accuracy during a shooting range test. Then they have to pass a mental health evaluation, which takes place at a hospital, and pass a background check, in which the government digs into their criminal record and interviews friends and family. They can only buy shotguns and air rifles, no handguns, and every 3 years they must retake the class and initial exam. Even Japanese riot police infrequently turn to guns, instead preferring long batons. Toruhana/Reuters. Japan has also embraced the idea that fewer guns in circulation will result in fewer deaths. Each prefecture, which ranges in size from 500,000 people to 12 million, in Tokyo can operate a maximum of 3 gun shops. New magazines can only be purchased by trading in empty ones, and when gun owners die, their relatives must surrender the deceased member's firearms. The role of trust can't be overstated. The result is a situation where citizens and police seldom wield or use guns. Off-duty police aren't allowed to carry firearms, and most encounters with suspects involve some combination of martial arts or striking weapons. When Japanese attacks do turn deadly, they generally involve fatal stabbings. In July of 2016, an assailant killed 19 people in an assisted living facility. Japan rarely sees so many fatalities from guns in an entire year. Gun control in Japan, combined with the prevailing respect for authority, has led to a more harmonious relationship between civilians and the police than in the US. It's something of a chicken-egg problem. The police, in choosing to use sub-lethal force on people, generate less widespread fear among the public that they'll be shot. In turn, people feel less of a need to arm themselves. The US, meanwhile, has a more militarized police force that uses automatic weapons and armored cars. There is also less widespread trust between people, and between people and institutions. The factors combine to produce a much fearful culture that can seem to be always on edge. Japan's approach would be a tough sell in the face of American gun culture, but it can provide a starting point for reining in the senseless violence that has become a hallmark of life in the US.